I don't know about you guys, but I truly felt sad for Detroit. Like, literally into the next day, like I'm driving home from work at like 2:30 and I'm still feeling sad about their loss. They were so close to what they have never gone to before, and they absolutely blew it. And I picked the 49ers. I was relatively indifferent, although I really kind of just want the underdog to win in all situations. It's just a fun thing to root for. But man, and we'll talk about it, but that is one utterly devastating collapse.
Yeah, I've never really seen anything like it, bro. And honestly, I think it's got to be attributed to a little bit of buffoonery out of Dan Campbell, which is what I talked about at the end of last week about Dan Campbell's going to pull some buffoonery. And granted, he has made many great coaching decisions, but I do think there were some questionable ones.
Yeah. We'll talk about it for sure. I definitely agree, though. He made some very questionable decisions, but...
It's easy to say that in hindsight because if it had worked, some of his choices worked,
they would have blown them out, and they would have been like, oh my God. But yeah, we'll get into it. I think even if they did go for it, or if they did not go for it and just kick the field goals, it would have been the right decision.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if they got it, it was still the wrong decision in my opinion, just because it was so risky.
Yeah.
All right. Thumbnail stats. Corner QB Brock Purdy wins one for his squad there. The corner QBs are 9-12. The left QB is 11-10. Jared Goff with the loss. Middle QB now has 1-game losing streak, 2-1 for Lamar Jackson. The right QB, 2-game winning streak with Patrick Mahomes. So everything's really kind of evened out as the season has gone on. Nothing has really pulled away as some crazy outlier,
Right, yeah.
And so for our championship recap here, we're going to start with Kansas City at Baltimore. And I don't know why I picked Baltimore. I even said in the episode, it would be foolish for anyone to think that Baltimore had any chance with the whole Taylor Swift factor. I mean,
you called it, bro.
I'm telling you, I know, I don't know why I chose Baltimore, but I was trying to go with my football intuition, but I mean, it really does come down to, I think, the Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce factor. Although I will say, if the NFL is influencing games or rigged in any way, they didn't really have to do anything for this game because Baltimore just killed themselves all on their own. They looked horrible after their first drive, and it's not like Kansas City was amazing in the second half. I mean, they got shut out in the second half, but they really had it coming, though, in my opinion, because Zay Flowers, did you see his little taunting when he shoved the defender down there and then immediately fumbles on the next play? It's
could be the end of the game, or that could have been basically the play that caused their loss.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could have. They would have been, I think, closer to the goal line, and then they could have just ran it in, didn't have to extend like he did. I mean, he had it coming. Like, I have never seen someone so overly confident than Zay Flowers. Like, I lost all my respect for that guy. And if you don't remember, but he actually came to Notre Dame for the Boston College game last year. Not this past season, but the previous season was a game that was completely snowy. And I think we shut out Boston College, and he was there. But regardless of all that, man, as soon as that happened, I was like, screw the Ravens, man.
When the stage is as big as a game like this, you cannot make such foolish mistakes.
And they were all kind of doing it. Like, all the Ravens just seemed a little, like, anxious. And I mean, like we talked about with the Bills the previous week, like when you're playing Patrick Mahomes, it seems like you're try-harding and you're doing way too much than you need to do.
Yeah.
And it causes you to make mistakes because you're kind of on edge. You're tense. You're not loose. And it's just the Patrick Mahomes factor. I'm not, honestly, as much as I really believe in the Taylor Swift stuff, this loss is 100% for Baltimore's own sake. Like, I mean, maybe Buffalo could be argued a little bit more, but Baltimore lost themselves this game. I think Lamar said after the game, I'm not frustrated. Or no, he said, I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated about losing. I'm like, it sounds like you're pretty angry, dude. Like, screw all the Ravens. I don't have any respect for them anymore. I think that they came into this game with the wrong attitude, overconfidence when they're going up against the team to beat. And I mean, Kansas City goes on. Travis Kelce looking like he's 25 again. It's insane.
He caught every ball in that game.
Man. I know. I mean, he played incredible. That one like jumping grab from Mahomes, like little dump off that could have been, honestly, I thought it was going to be picked off. I thought it was a horrible decision for him to throw it. Then the camera pans and you have like this leapfrog Kelce coming to the frame. It's like, It's like one of those guys. I mean, he is just out there showing off for Tay Tay. He is not nervous at all, you know, with his GF watching from above up there. I don't know if you've seen, but there are some crazy prop bets for Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl.
Like, I did not see any of them. Are they all on FanDuel?
I'm not sure where they are, but I mean, they're out there. Like, is she going to be shown during the national anthem? If so, how many times during the national anthem?
I say definitely at least one.
Like, yeah, I would say one, but no more than one.
Yeah.
And so you could bet that. I mean, you have the one, you know, we'll talk about the proposal.
Yeah.
But all right, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, a few things. You know, I think that our pick with Baltimore was still a good pick. Like, yeah, they played themselves out of this game here. You know, they had a couple bad turnovers there at the end. Zay Flowers fumbling. Lamar throws a pick in the end zone.
That was disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough way to go out.
Why is Isaiah Likely, like, pointing to himself, like, here, throw me the ball like some backyard football. Dude, you're covered.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have, like, 3 guys on you.
Yeah, it's like, just wacky.
And you're not Travis Kelce. You're not that kind of tight end.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're basically a second-rate Mark Andrews on that team. So.
I mean, for real, and they didn't really get Mark Andrews involved at all, and I thought that would be, like, that was a huge factor. I thought they were extremely lucky to get him back for this moment, to make it all the way, to be able to get him back after that injury in the same game that Joe Burrow got injured. And like, everyone's pinning that interception on Lamar. It was a horrible decision, but sometimes, I mean, when you see a guy calling for the ball, like, you'd trust that, like, you're open. Like, you're all professionals. You're not going to call if you're not open. And I just thought that was just horrible on both of their parts.
For sure. Yeah. But I mean, I still think that our Baltimore pick was fair. I still think that they were the better team going into this week, and maybe that played into some overconfidence. And you know, you can't ever count Mahomes out of one of these games.
It's like,
but
why do I feel like the Chiefs were like trying to play bad during the season to get everyone to doubt them? Now that they're underdogs in 3 straight playoff games, the Buffalo, the Baltimore, and now the Super Bowl. It really
does feel that way.
It's like, was MVS like intentionally dropping balls? Because now he's catching everything. He's making all these big, deep throws. It's like, yeah, was Travis Kelce like intentionally dropping some balls? Because now he's out there looking like an absolute all-worlder. It really feels like they kept a lot like under wraps in the bag, and then like the playoffs time, they're just like, they come out.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, they lost to the Raiders on Christmas.
I know.
Christmas Eve. They lost to the Broncos. They lost really bad games.
They looked bad. That Raiders game on Christmas, like, that was ugly. That was a horrible way to spend your Christmas if you're a Chiefs fan.
It honestly makes me admire my pick of the Raiders so much more, knowing that, like, Kansas City is going to the Super Bowl here, and to pick such a crazy upset.
And Aiden O'Connell beat
them
without completing a pass in the second, third, or fourth quarter. I mean, it really is remarkable what they do. It really comes down to this being like the next dynasty, the next New England Patriots. And the trio of Kelce, Mahomes, and Andy Reid is so powerful. And I think the only thing that will keep Mahomes from being as good in terms of production as Brady is the fact that these 2 guys are going to retire relatively soon. Travis Kelce, maybe even after this year if they win. Andy Reid's had some health problems, so eventually he's going to retire as well. And then Mahomes will have to find all new guys, and I just don't think you'll ever be able to replicate the magic that they've had these last few years.
Yeah, for sure. Wait, so you think Kelce is going to retire after this year?
I don't think he will. But I could see, like, if they win, he has a good game, he proposes to Taylor Swift. Like, I could see him going in the sunset.
That's a good point,
I do think he still has some good football in him. Like, it really depends on how much money he wants, I guess. Like, if you want to, like, play for a couple more years, make a few, like, you know, dozen more $1 million. But I mean, obviously he's got plenty of money through his endorsements and all that stuff. But
I think it could be like a Gronk situation where like he retires for a year, like to heal up, and then comes back. Or
it's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It's just so hard to come back to it after you've been gone for a while. I mean, Gronk did it, but you know, like Julian Edelman, who I thought could have played longer, he wasn't able to come back and do it. So it'll be interesting. I don't think he should. Like, I really do think he would, you know, be able to play at a decent level. I mean, he's the best tight end. I think he could be like the 5th best tight end, you know, even as he ages, you know, because he's just that talented.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the money thing. I actually saw this funny little video that said that Travis Kelce's net worth is less than Taylor Swift's cat.
Yeah, I saw that
like
too.
That?
Yeah, I love that. I mean,
So maybe he comes back just to, or out-earn Taylor's cat so he feels accomplished in life.
I think he'd have a long road ahead of him, honestly. Like, if they were to get married and he were to get divorced, he would just take home bank.
Oh, for sure.
She would have to shell out all sorts of cash. And I actually saw a stat on how much money she has generated for the NFL and the Chiefs.
Oh, man,
She's
dude, that's got to be a
an
crazy
equivalent brand value of $33.1 million, $331.5 million for the Chiefs and the NFL, including TV highlights, social media, print, and digital, going back to her first game in September. Now, I'm not sure what all goes into this, but that's believable. I get that, and that's exactly why the NFL wanted them to be in the Super Bowl, just because there's so many eyes. Everyone's talking about it. And so many of her fans are flocking over to see her, pop up in the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy. She's got to be one of the few singers that's actually a billionaire. I just looked it up here. She is literally worth over $1 billion.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, she is
outrageous.
A walking piggy bank.
Yeah.
She's ridiculous. I mean, good for her. I mean, she's been tremendously successful. She's generated such a loyal fan base. It's awesome. And, yeah, as much as people get annoyed about it, if they are truly dating and all that's real, I'm happy for them. But if it is a little bit engineered, I would be pretty upset. If it comes out in a couple years that they hate each other and that they never want to see each other again, I think we'd all be pretty upset, feel kind of betrayed. So
for sure.
Definitely think I want to believe it's authentic, because it's just a fun story. And yeah, I mean, they were kissing at the end on the field there.
Yeah.
I mean, the anytime touchdown for Taylor Swift almost hit.
Dude, so close, yeah.
I'm telling you, she was there. So, yeah, moving on to the next game now, Detroit at San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, to talk about this game brings back the pain, and I'm not a Detroit Lions fan by any means, but I really love their story, and I always love to see the underdog win. If the Panthers were in the Super Bowl, I'd root for them. If the Giants were any underdog, instead of these big markets like Kansas City, Philadelphia, Dallas,
right.
And San Fran. I like San Fran, but I mean, they've been fantastic over the last decade plus.
Yeah.
This is their, second Super Bowl in the last 10 years or so, or third Super Bowl in the last 12 years, something like that. And their second in the last since 2020, since the season before the pandemic and all that. But they really blew it. The Lions did. In my opinion, I just think in that situation, I know you've been aggressive all year. On fourth down, they said he's had the highest success rate and also the highest rate going for fourth down. But in a situation like this, where you can make it a 3-score game, and you have to play differently a little bit in the playoffs. I know it's what got you here, being aggressive, going for on fourth down. It's your mentality and your identity as a team. But in this situation, you're playing to get into the Super Bowl. It's not like you're playing in a random Week 6 game of the NFL. You got to make different decisions, and you have to understand that your strength is the offense and not the defense. And eventually, if you give San Francisco enough chances, they're going to get, they're going to score. And so I think that they should have kicked at least one of those field goals. If they did, they would have had a chance to tie it, or maybe you go for, I'm sure they probably would have gone for 2 on that final touchdown. But
yeah, probably.
If they kick both field goals, I think they win. It also just forces San Francisco to play differently. They would have had to abandon the run a little bit more. I really don't think it would have been tied, or I don't think Detroit would have had to go down and win that way with the touchdown. So,
or try and go with an onside kick there.
No, not even.
Yeah,
it should never have come down to that.
Absolutely not.
I mean, we've seen how bad Detroit's defense has been, and they can make plays. And like I said a few weeks ago, they get interceptions. We saw that against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
We saw that in this game as well. But in terms of giving up yardage, I mean, they're going to get cooked. And as for San Francisco, though, they just have to. They can't do this again against the Chiefs. They'll get rolled, because they've now done it twice in a row against the Packers. They got down 14 and got down 17 to the Lions here, and it's very rare. Honestly, the fact that they were able to come back for both of those is just, it's mind-blowing and extremely rare. If they do that again, they're done. And they got really lucky in this game that Brandon Ayuk catch, some timely penalties, Brock Purdy running around and making some good plays and all that. But yeah, I need to see them put together a full game, and I think they will. I mean, they've had now these 2 instances where their life has flashed before them and they somehow make it out alive. So I think I said this going into this game, they will not let that happen again. I really think they come out in a big way against the Chiefs, and I don't know why, but I think I'm going to take him, and we'll talk about it. But as long as Taylor Swift got to the Super Bowl, I don't really think it matters anymore
don't?
if they win. No,
I kind of differ with you a little bit there. But
yeah, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be as fitting to propose to her on
Right.
the field,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure that would happen.
Yeah. But, props to Brock Purdy. I mean, he's got to be feeling really, down in the dumps when he goes into that locker room at halftime thinking
for sure. They all should.
Yeah, I mean, how am I going to crawl my way out from this hole that we got ourselves into?
Because he was the last pick, like, he's always going to be doubted. Like, and if he does something like this, like if he didn't win the Green Bay game or if he lost this game in the fashion that it was looking to go, there would have been a lot of questions, and he would be a lot more likely to get replaced than Dak Prescott, who had a very bad game against the Packers, but he's Dak Prescott, and he's established himself more. Brock has a lot shorter leash, so I mean, the stakes are so much higher for him.
Yeah, but good for him and, being able to pull off a win here. I do want to make another comment about Dan Campbell, though. So at the start of the game, actually, I think it was like right before heading into halftime, they were winning 21-7, and the Lions are on like the 2-yard line maybe,
and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah, they kicked the field goal.
Yeah, that honestly, that one was surprising to me.
I mean,
and yet he goes for it on the 28 and the 30-yard line.
Like, that's what really upsets me. Like, you're up 21-7. Like, I get it, but you want to like really like put a nail in the coffin, go for a touchdown here, and like go up 3 touchdowns. I mean, that would be insane heading into halftime. That almost feels like insurmountable to come back from.
For sure.
I know that they got the 3 points, but like that extra touchdown just feels so much more valuable to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if they don't get it, there wouldn't have been time, I don't think, for San Francisco to score themselves.
Plus, they're on the 2-yard line, so like they got a chance at a safety even.
100% in the third and fourth quarter when they went for it.
Yeah.
They had plenty of time to go down the field. So I totally agree. Like, when I was watching it, though, I did say to myself, like, I hope he kicks a field goal. Like, I'm all about just getting the points because at the end of the day, like, I think it's just a way safer thing unless you absolutely have to go for 2. Like, I didn't like the Buccaneers going for 2 when they were down 14 to the Lions, and then now being down 8 and then being forced to get a 2-point conversion just to tie it. Like, everyone's gotten a little too overly aggressive, and we've seen this a lot in not only the pros but also college. That game, Oregon and Washington, way back in September, or I think it was early October, their coach Dan Lanning was uber aggressive as well, going for it on 4th down, and basically did the same thing and ended up losing the game as well. I mean,
that's so
all these
tough,
analytics say like, oh yeah, I mean, you have like a good chance of going for it and getting it, but just go for the points, man. Like, I'm just more of a conservative type of guy, but that's just me.
I got you. Should we get into our best bets here a little bit that are
ugly.
hardly our best bets?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard when there's only a few things to bet on at the end of the day. I really was surprised that the Chiefs got shut out in the second half. I really thought that Harrison Butker would go over 6.5 points. He kicks one more field goal. He gets it because he had the 2 and the... So, yeah, he was at 5.
If you are in a league where... I think he had like a 50-yarder. So if you're in a league that counts that as 5 points, then you went over.
Well, I think this is just literally the amount of points he generated for the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
I get you.
he would need one more field goal to get that.
Got it.
And he would have cleanly got it. But alas, the Ravens defense really clutched up, and the Chiefs got really conservative. Like, I mean, Mahomes, he was throwing for like 10 yards a clip when he was, he started, what was it, like 12 for 12 or something like that. And then he finished throwing for only like 5 yards a clip because of how conservative he got. It sounded like he got inaccurate. I think he was still 30 for 39, but it was only 240 yards, so 241 yards.
Right, yeah. Super close to that line there, 246. Glad I hit the under there.
Yeah. I mean, that line was spot on.
Yeah.
I would have gone with the over, to be honest. And that was close. That was a close one for sure, but that was a good pick for your part. Kansas City plus 3.5. I like that. Minus 112. That was a good one. Kansas City at Baltimore. I had my final score prediction 25-28. Baltimore, obviously, this is just such a shot in the dark, but that was way off. My Detroit at San Fran,
super close though, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a great prediction.
It very well could have been that had a few decisions gone the other way. 37-30 was my prediction and was off just by a few points. So.
Like it.
That.
Yeah, that Detroit San Fran one was good. I had Laporta anytime touchdown. I mean, I feel like the whole Lions team scored touchdowns in the first half there, and then Laporta's not one of them. My prediction for the Kansas City-Baltimore game was 31-16 Baltimore. Obviously, that wasn't even close. And then Detroit 29-26 over San Fran. That
was kind of close too.
Yeah,
you had the margin, the 3-point margin.
Picked the wrong team though to win, sadly. And then the Magic Conch is now 1-4, dude. The Magic Conch might tell you you should bet the opposite of what the Magic Conch says every week, because it said Baltimore to cover -3.5, which did not happen. One of my buddies though actually took Kansas City -5.5 at plus 330 odds.
Wow, that's good odds.
Yeah,
I like that.
I know, I like that a lot too. I didn't even think
alternate spreads are kind of nice. You know,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, Kansas City, I didn't even think was going to win that game, but like they win by a touchdown, and that's plus 330 odds there. Yeah. That's impressive.
Yeah, 6.5 would have been huge too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So hopefully we have a better week, but I mean it's just so hard to bet right now. There's just very little to bet on.
Just a single game
just
left.
Scrolling through FanDuel, seeing all these certain things, and I did take Jared Goff, no interception and plus money, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was surprised, though, he didn't throw one because he hadn't thrown one in any of the last few games. Like I don't think he's thrown one since, because he didn't throw one the last week of the regular season against Minnesota. He did throw a couple against Dallas, if that was their second last game. But, yeah, Goff's been playing really well. I feel bad for him because he played really, really well. I mean, there was that drop on 4th down, and he didn't play perfect, but he outplayed Brock Purdy for sure. Yeah. I mean, Brock Purdy just is able to run a little bit more, and that's
Purdy did
kind of the
some
difference
nice
in the game.
There.
So
you said it was plus money, was like a plus 104, like a Josh Allen pick
actually,
thing?
I do believe it was either plus 104 or plus 114.
I'm really surprised by those odds. I mean, maybe it was just because San Francisco's got such a good defense.
Exactly.
But I mean, Jared Goff doesn't seem to throw many picks. Certainly, nowhere close to as many as Allen throws, and to have the same odds on that is surprising.
It was plus 110.
Wow.
Yeah, so I like that one a lot.
Yeah,
and the one for Brock Purdy was minus like 110. Like
that's crazy.
They were kind of convinced that Brock was going to throw one, and he sure did. Although I would have honestly bet Brock Purdy to not throw an interception if it was in plus money, just because Detroit's defense isn't the best.
Right. Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah, I'm actually going back to see what I think. Yeah, it was Josh Allen against the Steelers where I bet him not to throw an interception. That was plus 104.
Yeah, I remembered that one. So that's why I'm so surprised, since he turns the ball over.
Right.
All the time.
I felt without TJ Watt in that game that was good value. So I looked at the no interception ones for this game, and I didn't really like any of them. Like I think Mahomes was. I think they were both like quote unquote favored to throw an interception, and it's just like there's no value. In a lot of the lines I noticed, there's no value. Like Pacheco is like minus 135 for a touchdown. Yeah, it's like disgusting. Like there's absolutely no value.
McCaffrey was minus 340 in the most recent game to score a touchdown. I mean that's
and
terrible.
He's like plus 330 to score 2. He's plus like 700 to score 3.
That's
I mean,
unreal.
It's just like it's really hard to find any value in some of the bets right now. Like as for these interception ones, it's minus 110 for yes and no for Brock Purdy.
Wow.
For Mahomes, it's minus 115 yes, minus 105 no.
That's funny.
I really think Mahomes to not throw one should be in plus money, just because he's been so elite. I would take him if it was in plus money to not throw one. I don't know. It's just so hard to bet right now. That's the moral of my story.
Yeah, I do have an interesting thought about that, though. So as soon as the game ended, like within 5 minutes of the Lions game ending, I went on FanDuel and checked, and all of the lines were already posted for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I don't know if like you had posted that, but like part of that makes me think that like, oh, there was something going on, NFL rigged, or if not, then FanDuel had like basically prepared lines for all of the potential outcomes.
I think they prepared them because they want to get the most amount of betting potential in. They want to get as many people's money as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This is the biggest betting event of any sport.
Year,
yeah, I mean, it's humongous, and that's why there's all these props and whatnot, because there's only one game, so they're going to try and give you as much random shit as possible to bet on.
That makes sense.
And yeah, I mean, I find it interesting looking at the odds, but just kind of disappointed with some of the values, on these touchdown scores.
Right.
Minus 240 for McCaffrey. I mean, Jesus.
That's terrible.
I want to bet against some of these to get touchdowns. Like Rashee Rice is only plus 140.
I think on ESPN Bet you can bet against some of those things. Yeah, ESPN Bet's a good one where you can like choose a no for like no touchdowns, but I haven't seen that on FanDuel or DraftKings before.
No, I haven't seen it either, and I would like to do that. Like I would bet against probably Pacheco to score one at minus 135. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So if you can find something like that to score 3 touchdowns. Oh, this one has McCaffrey at plus 1,000. But still, though, I feel like that should be higher.
I mean, anyone else who's at scoring 3 touchdowns would be way more than that.
Well, Pacheco's only 2,300. That sounds super low.
Oh, that really does, dude. It should be over like plus 4,000, I feel like.
I agree. Yeah. The third one is Travis Kelce at plus 4,900.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more.
I feel like that would be more likely than Pacheco to score 3.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I could totally see Mahomes just dumping 3 off in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Taylor Swift going crazy up in the booth.
For sure, bro. I wish FanDuel offered more props on, like, other little things, like how long the national anthem's going to be. Or, that kind of thing. There's a bunch of funny little props that I don't know where to find them. Like, I was trying to Google them, like, what's the line for how long the national anthem will be?
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any on Google, so I don't even know where to find them.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I could, like, I've seen them posted, like, on articles and websites before, but probably for the best, though, because it'll just tempt me to bet, and a lot of that is really even more of a crapshoot than this stuff as it is. But to get formally into our Super Bowl picks here, I am going to roll with San Francisco. I almost changed it to Kansas City, but I honestly kept it at San Francisco because you have, not to spoil it, but Kansas City. And I just thought it'd be fun to kind of duel it out and be different. But I think eventually Kansas City will regress to the mean a little bit like they played during the season. Although not to say San Francisco was perfect during the regular season either, but I think they were a lot more dominant, a lot more suffocating than Kansas City was. I mean, there were a lot of games that Kansas City barely won, like that game against Miami and Germany. I mean, they got shut out in the second half. They lost to Green Bay. Like you said, they lost to the Broncos. They lost to the Raiders in horrendous fashion. They lost to the Bills during the regular season. I know there was that crazy offsides call, but they certainly were not their usual selves. Now, they have all this playoff experience. They have the Super Bowl experience, but San Francisco does too. A few years ago, they were in the same spot. A lot of the same players are still here. Now, granted, your most important player was not being Brock Purdy, very young, very fresh, but he has some mental fortitude that I think will really help in this game that Jimmy Garoppolo, for example, doesn't have. And a lot of quarterbacks don't. I think he's very mentally strong. I don't think he'll get intimidated and shrink to the occasion. I really think he'll rise up to it. And he is a little bit of a gunslinger, and I really hope he just kind of dials that back in a little bit because a turnover could be really lethal in this game.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, George Kittle said, like he literally said in the Super Bowl that he lost against the Chiefs. I mean, I think it's that much more powerful that it was the Chiefs they played in their last Super Bowl and lost to. Everyone on the 49ers is so hungry. And they know, like even the younger guys who weren't there, they know from the older guys just the pain they felt when they lost to the Chiefs. They were up 20-10. Mahomes had 2 interceptions in that game, and they still were able to come back and beat the Niners. So I just think those older guys, the veterans there, will have the experience and just be cold-hearted and want it more than the Chiefs. I mean, at the end of the day, the Chiefs have won multiple Super Bowls and have been in this spot a lot. To them, it's not really that special maybe anymore, but I really just feel that the 49ers are going to be more motivated and play a little bit more cutthroat than the Chiefs based on what happened a few years ago. But a really good matchup at the end of the day. I think this will be super entertaining. It's a great roster against the best quarterback, tight end, coach combo. And so, yeah, I mean, I by no means would be surprised if Kansas City won. And I think it's kind of within the script, of course, but I'm going to roll with the Niners.
Yeah,
I don't know why, though. I've picked now
pick, though,
3 times against the Chiefs, and very well, this could be the end of the road here.
No, it's still a good pick. But, yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of reasons for mine. I really felt like, after last week I had decided, like, all right, if Kansas City beats Baltimore, who Baltimore I deemed to be the much better team, then this thing is just fixed. That they want Taylor in the Super Bowl. They want her to win the Super Bowl. It's all just a marketing ploy. And so that's like kind of my first reason there. I feel like they want Kansas City to win. They want Taylor out on that field. I don't know. They might even, like, if Kansas City wins, Travis and Taylor might like start doing commercials together and like I don't know, like just being like big sponsors like for the NFL.
It could be very sad at the end afterwards. I mean, Travis Kelce's sad, then Taylor's sad.
She might break up with him because he's not successful. If he can't even get a ring on his finger.
I mean, if Travis Kelce has a couple drops in this game,
she's done.
You know, Taylor Swift. I know Brock Purdy's a little younger than her, but hey,
he's looking pretty cute though.
Yeah, he is quite cute.
Yeah. And then besides that, this one's a little bit more grounded in like a little financy type thing. But well, you mentioned like regressing to the mean, and like while I think that that's a fair point, I like the idea more of like the momentum strategy. So like in finance, there's like a nice little like theory of like you are buying stocks that have done well like recently, like in the past month, like they're up high and you just ride that momentum. And so in a similar fashion, like I'm kind of like excluding what's been going on with the Chiefs in the regular season. I almost want to say that they maybe did do it as a ploy, like they looked a little bit worse during the season.
I mean, at that point it's like they're so used to winning, they gotta try something different. So like, why not just make a fool of ourselves?
Give the illusion that
lose
we're not.
To the Raiders here real quick, and no one's going to ever think we're going to come back from that.
Right, exactly. And so I like the idea of riding this team that is really hot lately. You know, they've been the underdogs in these games, and they're coming out on top. And so again, another one here. They're underdogs against San Fran. I think that they're gonna pull away here with a victory.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up going to a favorite or it becomes a pick'em game. Like I think a lot of money will go to the Chiefs. So.
Yeah, I saw that the line opened at -2.5 for San Fran, and now it was down to like -1 for San Fran. So
it is crazy though that people like we've been able to get Kansas City in plus money for the last 3 weeks in the playoffs.
I know, and
like,
I haven't bet any of them.
Yeah,
sadly.
I mean, are we just stupid? Like, why aren't we betting Kansas City in plus money like every single chance we get?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Kansas City was favored, I think, in every single game of the regular season. Were they not?
They might have been, yeah, probably.
They were favored against Buffalo, and I don't think they would have been underdogs to anyone else. I mean...
That's like, you know, during the regular season, we were betting on Dallas or Philly when they were underdogs. And, like, there's just so much value there.
Against 49ers.
There's so much value there.
Yeah, exactly. So there's certainly value, although I don't think it's in plus money in terms of the money line. It's probably like -105.
Yep, exactly, yeah.
I hate when it's like that. So the line is just, it's super tight. It's going to be hard to find some good value in this unless you just feel super confident about one team and just load it up. Put like $1,000 on the Niners or something. Get something out of that. But we will move on to our best bets here. I am going to take Kansas City plus 2.5 at the alternative spread, -125. Man, I could see something crazy happening here. Obviously, one of my things are likely to hit, not both, but they could both hit. San Francisco winning and Kansas City covering that spread. I would like them like at 3.5, but you know, I'm just not trying to be like a big time unit shamer. Like I don't want to get unit shamed.
Right.
If I'm taking Kansas City plus 3.5 at like -160, you know.
Yeah.
I'm also going with Christian McCaffrey MVP at plus.
That's a bold take. That is so bold.
I don't see. If the 49ers win, like I don't see it necessarily being because of Brock Purdy. I see it because like CMC just ran over everyone. And has like another 2 touchdown, 100-yard game, maybe a receiving touchdown in there.
You think he would run over all the members of this Chiefs defense? I mean, their defense is really solid.
I don't think that they're that good in the run. I mean, the Ravens only ran the ball 16 times. The Ravens, like I said, shot themselves in the foot because they got away from what they're best at. And it was like, I mean, Lamar's passing yards, like the over-under was like 216, and he was 272. The only reason for that is because he threw the ball like 1 billion times. And I don't know why they didn't run it more. I mean, it was crazy that the Ravens just went so far. They deviated from what they really are during the regular season, their identity. because they did have some success running the ball. I
Yeah.
don't see San Francisco deviating from what they're good at, which is also the run. That's what they want to do. They want to have CMC running. They want Brock Purdy to maybe run a little bit. They want Debo to have some design runs in there as well. Kyle Juszczyk to run. I mean, they want to run over the Chiefs, and I think there's just so much to defend for the Chiefs that, I mean, this is getting back to why I'm taking the Niners. Like, if Brock Purdy starts scrambling again, like, they could be in trouble. I mean, they just played Lamar who could scramble, but it's not like Lamar has all those weapons. I mean, Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, like, they're nice and all that, but it's not Odell. It's not Brandon Ayuk, Kittle, and all those guys. Juwan Jennings is also an animal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you're trying to guard all of that, like, something's going to have to spill over, and that may very well be Brock Purdy turning into, Lamar Purdy out there and starting to run all over the place. But at the end of the day, I feel like if the Niners win, it will be because of CMC. I mean, the whole season, if there's another storyline that maybe is like a fraction of what the Taylor Kelsey thing is, it's Christian McCaffrey just being amazing and like being the best running back in the league, coming back from all those injury concerns and just being an absolute force of nature.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly value to be had at plus 500 when he's undoubtedly the best player.
That's
on
what
their
I'm
team.
saying. Like, I mean, Brock Purdy has better odds. Obviously, Mahomes does. And like the quarterback usually wins it. But if we think back to the Rams Super Bowl win, Cooper Kupp won the MVP.
Yeah. And
it's not like he even had like that big of a game. And Matt Stafford, he had a couple picks in that game. And that's probably why he didn't win it. But I see it similarly to me. Like, I really think that their offensive core is not the quarterback. And I think a lot of people would agree with that, but who knows? Who knows?
No, I agree with that for sure. I think the tough part for me is I still feel confident that the Chiefs are going to win this game. And like, Chiefs win, CMC's not getting MVP.
Well, if the Chiefs win, it's going to be Kelsey.
You think it'll be Kelsey?
No, I mean, that's almost like too far.
Yeah.
Then like you really start to like scratch your head and wonder what the NFL is doing in terms of this whole Taylor Swift.
Sure,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised Taylor Swift MVP. Travis Kelce's like, no, it's not me, it's Taylor, and then they give it to her. But to finish with my bets here real quick, I'm just going to take the over 47.5 because, again, I don't know. We're probably like, the NFL never would like to like hire us because we talk about being fixed and shit, but the NFL wants points to be had in the Super Bowl, like last year.
Yeah,
I mean,
38, 35
like, Eagles
finish.
had a good defense, but I mean, they left 38 points.
It was an exciting game, though, when you had that many points.
It was great, and that's what they want in the Super Bowl. They don't want necessarily that Rams-Patriots game where it was 13-3.
Yeah.
That was horrible. They don't want that. And if you look historically, most of the Super Bowls have been rather higher scoring. Now, if we think back to the game, what was it? So last year, way over. Year before that, I think it hit the under. The Bengals and the Rams 23-20. The year before that, 31-9 for the Buccaneers win. They don't really want those to happen again. They certainly don't want the 31-9 win in terms of the Bucs and the Chiefs. But so I'm gonna take the over. But I mean, it's just so hard to bet because I could also just see going under like by a point or two because these defenses are really solid at the end of the day. And then, I'll let you go on with your bets. I have something that I'll add on to your last one.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I had the same one as you. The game over 47.5. I really think that these points are, a lot of points are going to be scored. I wouldn't be surprised if it soars over here. But second one, Mahomes MVP. This is just, I feel like it's more of a safe bet since I think the Chiefs are going to win. Mahomes should get MVP. I
don't think there's good value in that plus 125 though.
I don't think it's a lot of value. I just think that it's like the safe bet.
Just, it's funny that the odds of, they're basically saying, if Kansas City wins, it's automatically Mahomes because the odds of Kansas City winning is not that far off of this Mahomes MVP.
Yeah.
But I could really truly see Kelsey or maybe Pacheco winning it.
I don't see Pacheco winning it. I mean, it could feasibly
be Kelsey. To be like
if
it's a low-scoring game and he gets like a couple goal line touchdowns, like a couple touchdowns down the red zone type of thing. And he has maybe like a receiving touchdown as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a turnover like really hurts your MVP chances. Like if Mahomes has a turnover in this game, like he could be hurt and then be less favorable to one of his, the receiver or the back.
Right.
Like I said, with Matt Stafford, he had 2 turnovers in that game. And while I think he did have 3 touchdowns or whatnot and a bunch of yards, it went to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
If Matt Stafford played a cleaner game, I think you had to have given it to him, even if Cooper Kupp, has the same, like the yards that were all coming from Stafford and whatnot and was making the plays.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting.
I just don't love that value.
It's interesting to me that the 49ers are favored to win the game, yet Mahomes is the favorite for MVP.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. Honestly, that is a very interesting debate.
Yeah, because you would think it would be Brock then who's favored to win MVP if the 49ers are favored to win the game.
But that's why I think there's a lot of good value in CMC, because I don't. Obviously Brock could have a good game, but I really feel that if the Niners win, it's going to be because of CMC at the end of the day.
That's a good point. Yeah, I really do like that at plus 500. I don't think that the 49ers are going to win, but if they do, I like that a lot. I honestly would agree with you that it would probably go to him instead of Brock.
Yeah, I'm going to toss some cash on that because of the value I could get out of it, Toss my dollar on it and, I get like 5 in return.
Yeah, dude. I dig it. And then closing off the slate here, Travis proposing to Taylor on the field after Kansas City wins at plus 1,120.
That's also interesting.
Dude, just think about it.
See, my problem with it is it's too soon.
No, who cares? They're old enough for it.
They've not been dating that long, I don't think.
Bro, it's been I know it is pretty quick, but think about it. Kelsey's on the field. He gets his ring, and he's like, Tay, I want you to have my ring too. And then they both get rings on the field, and it's glorious.
This is where the NFL's got to draw the line, in their fixing department, because it just becomes too unbelievable and becomes too much like a telenovela. But that being said, I do, if I were to bet that, this is how it's going to go down. Mahomes comes out as QB, the Chiefs get the ball back. Mahomes or Purdy throws an interception. Game's over. They just got to kneel it out a little bit. Kelsey comes in at quarterback. He kneels it out. Taylor's ran out onto the field. Kelsey's still kneeling, and then pops the ring on, proposes, and then he looks to the camera and says, "That's 2 things at once," just like he says in the Pfizer commercial when he gets his flu shot and his COVID booster.
Dude, I love
2 things at once. He just won the Super Bowl on the final play of the game and proposed to Taylor Swift at the same time.
Dude, that would be so excellent. I would love that.
At the end of the day, that's when it becomes like a fantasy, and it's like Disney princess territory.
No, that's when fantasy becomes reality.
And it gets I could see it. I know it could happen. And plus 1120, the fact that those odds are so low.
It's a nice 8% chance.
Yeah, the fact that the implied probability is 8% for something that crazy to happen is it's wild to me. There's no good value in any of these bets.
Yeah.
No good value, especially for those touchdown scorers. Now, before we kind of end off the episode, I do want to talk about Jim Harbaugh getting hired as the Chargers head coach.
Yeah, that's kind of wild, bro.
A humongous move. And I was looking for some MVP 2024-2025 odds because I want to bet on Justin Herbert. I am putting all my eggs in the basket.
I thought you were going to say Jim Harbaugh Coach of the Year, but you're going straight Justin Herbert MVP.
Yeah, that could happen too. Mm-hmm. But because I honestly think, that could happen because he could turn that thing around and maybe win a playoff game, and that's all he has to do to win it. But I love Justin Herbert MVP.
I think they will probably not post those odds until after the draft. Would be my guess.
No, I agree. But I want to get the best value I possibly can, so I want to bet on it right now.
That would be wild, bro.
Yeah, they'll probably give me horrible value. They'll probably be like, it's plus 400.
No, that'd be ridiculous. I actually kind of thought that, after seeing that Jim Harbaugh gets hired, after he wins the national championship, that, John Harbaugh is going to go beat the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl, and be these nice little, cute little story. Both of them,
some
win,
Harbaugh action.
Yeah, both brothers win their respective championships in the same year. That'd be cute, but certainly not as cute as Travis proposing to Kelsey. Or Travis proposing to Taylor.
Instead, John Harbaugh had a horrible day coaching, in my opinion. I thought he coached bad. Like I said, he abandoned the run. I agree. I really didn't think he did his best. But overall, a good coach. And they will play each other, actually, I think, in LA.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's lucky because they already played each other this year,
Mm-hmm.
but that was because they finished both in second place in their division last year, and this now upcoming year will be because the AFC West faces the AFC North. That is the reason for this time. But yeah, I'm really happy about it. John Harbaugh is just such a program turnarounder. I mean, he turned around Stanford, he turned around Michigan, he turned around the Niners, brought them to a Super Bowl. So I really feel good about the Chargers' future. And yeah, I mean, they have got some good draft capital, and hopefully everything goes well. It would be awesome if he brought over the defensive coordinator from Michigan, Jesse Minter, to shore up that defense with all the pieces they have. I'm not saying they'll win the division, honestly. I think they won't, but I think they'll be a wild card again, win like 10 to 11 games, make the playoffs, win a playoff game. And yeah, I mean, I really feel good about it. They could even win the division if Kelsey were to retire, I think. I mean, I think that's just a humongous piece to the puzzle. And yeah, that division is going to be super interesting going forward with Sean Payton in there, with whoever they bring at quarterback for the Broncos, obviously the Chiefs. I think the Raiders will stay a joke for a while just because I don't believe in their head coach, and I don't know what they're doing with quarterback because they won too many games to really get like that guy in the draft. And while we're on the topic of coaches, that's like the only move I feel good about so far. Like, I don't feel good about the Falcons' decision to hire Raheem Morris at all, who's a defensive-minded guy when they have all this offensive talent and they're going to have to draft a quarterback. He already has proven that he's not successful as a head coach. I think he's like 25-46 as a head coach. So I don't like that move at all. I have to say, though, the Panthers move, they brought in the offensive coordinator of the Bucs, Dave Canales, I believe it is. I don't mind that move. That's an interesting one. But I kind of feel like it's an impulsive move because you want to beat the Bucs. Like, I really do feel like they're like, all right, like all they can think about is, all right, we want to beat Tampa. So you bring in the offensive coordinator for Tampa so he could like tell you all their secrets. And sure, you might beat the Bucs, but like I just hope it's more of a long-term thing. And with the offensive mind, though, it always gets my stamp of approval. I don't think the Patriots did a good job with their head coach, Gerard Mayo. Don't like that. The Titans coach taking the offensive coordinator from the Bengals is fine. I think that's going to be okay as well. But I just hope it doesn't affect the Bengals too much with Joe Burrow. You know, you have no idea how that could really change an organization like we saw with the Eagles losing their coordinators. But
no, I think it's really interesting that the Falcons hired Raheem Morris here because I remember that Bill Belichick went on 2 interviews with them at least.
I was really surprised that he didn't get it. So
yeah, I mean, I was just kind of like thinking about like that whole interview process. Like, what's Belichick going in there doing? Are they asking him like, "Hey, tell me about yourself, Mr. Belichick? Like, what do you have to offer to this organization?" And Bill's over here, 70 years old, like pitching to them why he would make a great coach, and they're like, we're gonna go with this guy instead.
Yeah, I really would love to listen to one of those interviews. I'm sure it's a lot more technical about like what kind of defense he wants to run and stuff like that, ideas and all that. But yeah, I am really surprised that they went with Raheem Morris over Bill Belichick. That just feels super weird to me. It feels really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Washington's still open. Who else is still open? I mean, I'm honestly surprised that the Bills didn't fire their head coach, Eagles didn't fire their head coach, Cowboys didn't fire their head coach.
You're surprised the Bills didn't fire theirs?
Yeah, he's got to go.
Why?
Because he's a defensive guy. I mean, he's always the one. Like, he's the common denominator, in my opinion, aside from Josh Allen. And we know Josh Allen's not the problem. I think he's holding them back. I really have just... I mean, he's a good coach, and, like, he can come in. Like, he could go to the Panthers, if that was still open, and, like, make them a decent team. But, like, he has such a low ceiling. He's got a high floor, but a low ceiling. And I think, like, there's a good chance that after next season, all those positions are open, which would be crazy for like the highest. Like if Jim Harbaugh waited a year, he could have just the pick of the litter. Like, oh, maybe I want to coach the Cowboys. Oh, maybe the Eagles over here. Ooh, Josh Allen over here I could coach. I mean, maybe even Andy Reid retires. You could coach Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
so
that would be wild.
Either way, though, excited about the Chargers' future. I don't feel great really about the other hires.
Not the Falcons hire.
God, no.
Yeah, definitely not him.
No, absolutely not. So, yeah, you have anything else to conclude?
I don't think so. It's crazy that this is the season finally coming to an end here. We only have one final game.
Yeah.
In the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, Pro Bowl's
no
a
one
joke.
cares, yeah.
Yeah, they have NFL honors the Thursday before the Super Bowl. More interested in like the Senior Bowl this week. Sam Hartman's going to be there along with a bunch of other Notre Dame guys.
That's exciting.
Yeah, just some like there's a lot of like college events with seniors right now. They're going to the draft and they're showing off to the recruiters
nice,
and whatnot. So
where do you
that'll be
think?
interesting.
Where do you think Hartman's going to get drafted? Like, if at all?
He'll get drafted for sure. He
Sixth
feels
rounder?
like he feels a little higher than that, like late fourth, like fifth round pick. Like,
do you think he'll be like similar to like Ian Book in terms of he'll be like a third stringer and will likely not see the field, and if he does, he'll just play terribly?
honestly, I think he's significantly better than Ian Book.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Book was a much less gifted thrower of the ball. He could just run around more, and Sam Hartman still has quite a bit of mobility. So I feel that Sam Hartman has a much higher chance of being successful in the NFL than Ian Book did. Although Ian Book, a lot of these guys, it's hard for them to get a chance. I mean, Brock Purdy was extremely lucky.
For sure.
I mean, he had to have a lot go wrong. Like, he had to have Jimmy G and Trey Lance get hurt in order for him to play.
And it happened all
he
in the
also
same
had
season,
to work his ass off as well. Yeah, I mean, it has to happen in the same season. They have to be season-ending injuries, and you have to work your ass off so they don't bring in somebody who's more trusted. Like, they could have brought in Matt Ryan last year. Maybe Matt Ryan retired, but like a veteran like that, like a Teddy Bridgewater, like a Jacoby Brissett, someone that's had much more experience playing in the league.
It's crazy that they didn't make a trade and that they're trusting their entire team to basically Mr. Irrelevant here, and yet he comes in and lights
that's
up.
why it comes down to your work ethic, I think.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy, I think, just put in a lot of work at practice.
He's
and
such a
was
humble
impressive.
guy, too.
Yeah, I really like him. So at the end of the day, I wasn't like that upset that the Lions blew it, because I do like the Niners. But anyways, where were we going? Oh, yeah, Sam Hartman. I do think that if he goes to like the right team and something happens, like if he goes to the Vikings, for example, Kirk Cousins playing, and maybe he gets hurt or something happens, Sam Hartman plays. I mean, he could be one of those instances where he shows something and he allows himself to get more and more opportunities, kind of like Gardner Minshew, who just continues to get opportunities as a younger quarterback. But yeah, I do think he will end up being a little bit more successful than Ian Book was. But it all comes down to what team he goes to.
Yeah.
And I want to do a score prediction on the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, good call. Out. Yeah, and that reminds me, I didn't do the Magic Conch bet either, so I guess we're going to do that now. Magic Conch, what's the play for the 49ers Chiefs game here?
Oh, my goodness. So we're going to have to
Underdog.
fade it. So I guess the Chiefs... Okay. Although it might end up being the Niners by the end of the 2 weeks.
We're taking the spread, though. I'm always going to bet the conscious spread pick.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to go KC plus 1.5, or what even is the line now?
I think it is plus 1. Maybe it is 1.5. It is. Just give me a second. Scanning. Plus 1.5 at minus 105.
Okay.
That's actually decent value. Kansas City's plus 112 on the money line now. That's actually pretty good.
Wow, that really surprises me. All right, plus 1.5. So for all of you people who don't believe in the Magic Conch, just hammer San Francisco here. Conch is now hitting at a 20% clip rate.
Yeah, not ideal for the Conch for sure. But let's hear your
it's
score prediction.
hitting the fades at an 80% clip rate.
Yeah, see, I feel like the first time I do that though, it'll hit.
Yeah.
And it'll just like mind boggle me.
Yeah.
And then I'll never be able to trust it again.
That's a good point. What do we want to go with here? We're going to go over 47.5. I almost really like my score from last week, like that 29-26, but I'm not going to use the same score again. I think I'm going to go 31-29.
Dude, I was going to go 30-29.
Would you really?
Yeah. I'm going to change it up now. My problem is I'm not sure I see the Niners being able to score that much. Although I do kind of feel like a defense. You know what? I have some ideas. Defensive touchdown gets scored by somebody.
Dude,
and
put that in your best bets, because there's always a ton of value for a defensive touchdown.
I know. It was like Kansas City was plus 700. The other one was something like that.
That's
but
humongous.
Christian McCaffrey to have some passing yards.
Whoa.
Dude, remember that one game? And I know you know this because your buddy, remember he had that bet with your other buddy to have a player in the NFL have a rushing, receiving, and a passing touchdown in the same game. And the other guy didn't think that would ever happen,
Yeah.
but ended up happening not this past season, but the previous season for McCaffrey. They haven't done that at all this season. I could totally see them because it's the last game.
Yeah.
It's time to get creative.
Yeah, getting a little saucy with it.
Christian McCaffrey throws. I'm not sure
Dude, that
how
would
many,
be
but I'm
wild.
feeling like 15 yards. Christian McCaffrey gets some passing yards. I'm
Yeah.
going to put that in here, CMC, to get some passing yardage. I'm not sure if I could find somewhere to bet that, but I like that.
Dude, we should have
And-
had Lamar last week to have some receiving yards.
Huh. I would never have thought about that. That was crazy, that play.
Yeah,
that
I
was
know.
remarkable.
Never
honestly.
seen a QB catch their own pass. That was absolutely wild. It's just
It's
like
happened before.
Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
know,
just
Marcus
crazy.
Mariota in a playoff game against the Chiefs caught his own ball
no
and
way.
got a touchdown out of
That's
it.
so cute.
I know. It's like the Chiefs just have a propensity of
Wow.
generating instances where their opposing quarterbacks catch their own
I
balls.
guess so.
Yeah, that was wild, though. I honestly can't believe that happened. And that was probably the best part of
Yeah.
the whole game for the
Oh,
Ravens.
yeah,
but
most exciting, yeah.
I'm going to go with 27-26 so that the Chiefs cover, although I do kind of like the Chiefs to maybe be at 24. I'm just going to go with 27-24 or 27-26. Chiefs cover the 2.5 that I also bet on, because in an ideal world, everything hits. Lots of green on the screen. But yeah, 27-26, an exciting nail biter that also hits the over.
Good stuff there. I dig it.
All right. Now, we won't have an episode next week. I'm going on a little vacation to Arizona, but it does work out because it's not like there will be a whole lot more to talk about after the Pro Bowl unless, like, Mahomes gets sick or something.
Yeah.
What if, like, Mahomes comes down with, like, mono, like Sam Darnold
Dude,
did in
that would
2019.
be absolutely wonky.
I know. That would
we
be.
could expect San Fran to win because the Chiefs would blow their game is the same way that the Chiefs blew their game against Denver when Mahomes got sick.
Yeah. Well, if he got mono, he would not be able to even play because his spleen would be
Oh.
enlarged
Oh,
and at
God.
risk of rupturing. When you get mono, you can't work
Oh
out
my God, I didn't
for
even
like
know that.
6 weeks.
Oh, God.
Because your spleen's enlarged.
That's
and
atrocious.
if he got hit, it would rupture. So like when Sam Darnold got it in 2019 from like smooching up with a bunch of Brazilians, he was out for like 4 to 5 weeks.
Wow.
I remember that
That's insane.
distinctly. Man, who filled in for him? Who was it? I don't remember. It might have been Joe Flacco. I don't think it was Joe Flacco. I think he was on the Broncos at that time. Anyways, good episode. Great season. Can't wait to be back in a couple weeks to talk about it all and then start talking about
Draft stuff.
draft
Power
stuff.
rankings,
Yeah, we're
maybe.
going to do quarterback rankings or reviews for the
Yeah,
entire
for sure.
season. We'll do some mock draft action. We'll talk about all the free agency moves that ensue.
Yeah, we'll even do some fantasy mock drafts and
Yeah.
maybe try and project out how your first round of your fantasy draft will
Right.
go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any scenario where CMC's not the first pick in anyone
dude,
drafts
100%,
next year. But,
yeah.
all right, guys, as per usual, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Enjoy the Super Bowl.